Welcome to Dominican Way. My name is Father Anthony Randazzo, the happy pastor of Notre Dame Roman Catholic Community in North Caldwell, New Jersey. Our community is a post-Vatican II church espousing what John the 23rd named about church, a pilgrim people on a pilgrimage. In 2008, I was given the opportunity to go on a sabbatical. Through the generosity of the Archdiocese of Newark and the generosity of the people of Notre Dame in North Caldwell, I embarked on a 6-month odyssey throughout the world. Part of that journey was the Camino to Santiago de Compostela, better known in our times as the Way of St. James. I would like to share with you 10 lessons I learned on the Camino, this 500-mile trek beginning in the bottom of the Pyrenees in France, going across North Spain to the west, and ending at the Romanesque Cathedral of Santiago de Compostela. I would like to begin by sharing a postcard that I received yesterday, very timely for this presentation. This person who I received the postcard from just completed the Camino. She found out months ago that I had had this experience in 2008 and contacted me, and we began to speak and share and also practice walks for her journey on the Camino. I received this postcard from Grace yesterday. Dear Father Anthony, I did the Camino. I was not sure how to interpret the word humility. The Camino taught me that I cannot do anything without God's help, and everything is possible when one trusts His love. Although I was ill-prepared, I managed to walk 300 miles in His company. It was the most wonderful experience. Thank you for your support and belief in me. Gratefully, Grace. I could feel on the postcard the exhilaration, the joy that Grace was experiencing in completing, or at least doing a good part of the 500-mile journey to Santiago. On this wondrous walk that has been done for centuries by pilgrims, much of the walk inspires the soul. Many have said the Camino begins with the feet and ends with the heart. During my 25 days on the Camino, from October 5th, 2008 to October 30th, many movements happened within my soul. I began to notice that I also have a poetic part of my soul. Before I share with you the 10 lessons on the Camino, I would like to share with you a few poems. The first one is entitled Sunday on the Camino. Sunlight illuminating the green hues of Galicia, pilgrims passing, French, Spanish, Irish, manure dodged, cowbells ringing. Sunday is aglow in Galicia, a pilgrim's delight. The second poem, Camino cows grazing. Blue skies, tingling bells, munching cows on green grass, chomping away, meandering along. Tractor sounds, Sunday on the Camino. The cows are happy, and so am I. The next poem is entitled Horses. Benny says hello, pets the mane. Eyes are dull, white whiskers, horses talking. Mr. Ed, the horse, Camino thoroughbred for the soul. And lastly, and the very reason I'm holding this walking stick, a stamped walking stick, holding tight, right hand grip, moving stick ahead, stamped a la Edel's word, sturdy and steady, Santiago bound. Dear friends, this walking stick walked at my side and was indeed, for me, a sign of the divine presence in wooden form. I left this country alone on October 5th, and when I arrived in Madrid and then got down to Saint-Jean-de-Pied, the beginning point, I was welcomed warmly by wonderful French people in the Office of Welcome for Pilgrims. When I began the Camino, I was very unsure of where to go and what to do. However, the 10 lessons on the Camino began. Lesson number 1. People are sent like angels. Welcome them. I met 2 wonderful people the first day that I was there, Marianne and Ray, seasoned Camino pilgrims. They welcomed me. They helped me learn the ropes. They were like angels who escorted me forward. They took me under their wings. They introduced me to other people, other pilgrims. I felt not alone. I felt that they were sent by God. On a pilgrimage of any kind, people are sent like angels. Lesson 1. Lesson 2, when you walk a great distance, let people help you. Drop your pride. Ask for help. On the Camino, one must lean on one another. When you are going from one town to another, as you arrive in Pamplona, or if you arrive at Astorga, you need to depend on the help of others for information, for guidance. On one occasion, as I was walking, I was running low on water. My dear Irish friend Edel, her canteen had more water than I. She helped me to quench my thirst. When one is on a pilgrimage, one must ask for the help of others. That is lesson 2. Lesson 3, whenever one walks on a pilgrimage through farmland, through up and down mountains, through towns, through villages, there are rocks. Walk carefully over slippery rocks, slowly but surely. On a rainy day, when those rocks were not quite as dry and easy to walk over, I depended on my walking stick to give me security as I went down uneven paths. Yes, walk carefully over slippery rocks. And if you do fall, don't give up, get back up again. Lesson number 4. A walking stick is security. Use one when needed. The other day, I was at the Hospital of Special Surgery, accompanying a dear friend who just had hip replacement. And many people there were using canes of one kind or another. They needed the support of a walking stick. When anyone is in any way traveling and unsure, a sturdy walking stick is indeed helpful. And as I mentioned before, God comes through the wooden form of a walking stick. I even used this stick at different times to stretch out at the end of the day. I used this stick to lean forward, to stretch out my back, since my backpack was getting heavy at different times. I used this stick to massage my neck and my shoulders. After walking for 10 to 15 miles, one needs the massage to indeed soften the muscles. This stick is a prized possession. My dear friend Edel said, with this stick, you need it to be stamped. Typically, on the Camino, you have a passport. In every place that you visit, there is an emblem of that particular place. This passport has multiple emblems of different towns along the way. Edel suggested to me, not only should you ask to have your passport stamped, but also have your walking stick stamped. This stick is a prized possession. Number 5, drink 2 glasses of red wine with new friends after walking for 8 hours. Yes, wine on the Camino can be good for the heart. Galicia is known for its vineyards and its fine wine. A glass or 2 of wine at a good meal with Spanish garlic soup helps the pilgrim to go further, day after day. Lesson number 6, laugh at yourself when you forget where you put something in your backpack. When you're living out of a backpack, it's not as though you're living comfortably at home. You're not quite sure where you put your things. You have to spread out your things at the end of the day and rearrange your things in your backpack, and you have to let go of many things. And sometimes you just have to laugh at yourself because certain things you've left behind that you needed, and you're bringing certain things that you really don't need with you. One must laugh at oneself when you're on a pilgrimage, particularly one that's a pilgrimage of the heart. Number 7, lesson. Whenever you take a long walk of any kind in nature, open your eyes. Open your brown, blue eyes, your black eyes, open them wide, for there is so much to see. On the Camino, I walked with a photographer, Benny, from Denmark. He had a keen eye to see certain things in nature. And he would say to me, "Anthony, stop, take a second look at that site." One day I remember on the Camino, he said, "Stop." And there was a salamander walking across us. And he took different cameras out of his backpack. He got on the ground and he shot some of the best pictures of a salamander. He taught me to stop and see what is in nature. Number 8 lesson on the Camino: dodge all kinds of manure on the path of life. Let me repeat that one. Dodge all kinds of manure on the path of life. Yes, when we were walking through farmlands, you had to be very careful where you stepped. There were cows and horses, and you know what they leave behind. Yes, on the road of life, you got to dodge the manure in order to move forward and to know that you can keep a sturdy foot ahead. Number 9, living in a clean dormitory is possible if flexible. Earlier, I mentioned about being in the comfort of home. When you're on the Camino, you're in a dorm. And if you've ever had that experience, you would know that people snore when they sleep. And if you're in a large dormitory, if you're a very sensitive and light sleeper, you might not be able to sleep too well. But you have to be flexible. You don't take the Camino takes you. And that lesson on the Camino, to be flexible, will also make for comfort of a new kind. Your soul will become more comforted if you maintain the practice of flexibility. One must be flexible on any journey, and when you're on the Camino to Santiago, you become deeply flexible. And lastly, the 10th lesson goes back to what dear Grace sent me in her postcard. Thank God you have decent health to do a 500-mile pilgrimage through sun and rain. Thank God that you're able to walk a great distance and that the love of God that you depend on is getting you through each and every day. Thank God that you're able to receive the support of fellow pilgrims. Gratefulness is the path to happiness. When I arrived finally after 25 days on the Camino and having walked approximately 375 miles, as I was nearing the cathedral on a rainy morning, there were buses passing by, and I saw a group of sisters, religious sisters, like the sisters here at Caldwell College. And they waved to me as I was nearing the destination of the Romanesque Cathedral of Santiago. And when I remember back on that day of arrival at the cathedral, the smiles of those sisters waving from the bus warmed my heart. When I got to the doors of the cathedral, I was tired. I lost a great deal of weight. I was unshaven. I had my Notre Dame cap on, my sturdy stick in hand, my backpack, and I walked in to that cathedral. And I did the customary actions of the pilgrim. I went to pay homage to the remains of the Apostle James, and then had the great opportunity to celebrate the Eucharist for pilgrims with the Spanish priests who were there and many people who were on the Camino with me. We walked as pilgrims on the Camino, and we had arrived. It was indeed joyous to have completed the Camino in a healthy way, and then to promise Christ and myself that I would always encourage, help, support anyone who had any inkling of ever doing the Camino. This summer, 2014, I will once again go on the Camino with presently 3 other members of our community. We will go in the latter part of August. We will fly from Newark to Madrid, take a train to Lyon, and begin the pilgrimage from Lyon to Santiago, approximately 100 kilometers. I look forward to that day when I will arrive with those dear people at the Cathedral of Santiago. Dear friends, this is a piece of the Camino, a part of the path that is a souvenir and a reminder to me of walking on the sacred earth in that part of the world. This, dear friends, is the classic symbol of the Camino, the scallops shell. The scallops shell you will see in many different places, identifying the Camino path. Pilgrims have in their backpack or around their neck as a necklace, or however, they have this symbolic scallop shell with them. Dear friends, I do indeed hope that in all your pilgrimages through life, that you will always consider the pilgrimage to Santiago de Compostela. Do not be afraid. You will walk with many others who want to explore the inner landscape of the soul. They wish to do the interior Camino as they walk the way of St. James. Thank you for listening to me on this day. Thank you for considering the Camino as part of your spiritual journey. Let me conclude by sharing one little story that moves my heart to this very day. This story goes back to a place called Tos Santos on the Camino. And there at this refugio, which is the very place where pilgrims lodge for the night after a long day of walking, there was this hospitalero, the man in charge, who greeted and welcomed tired pilgrims each day. That day we were greeted, and I knew this was an exceptional hospitalero. He was good, gracious, and kind, and had that depth of spirituality that one can intuitively sense when you come across someone who has a gift. Well, after the beautiful hospitality that he showed to the pilgrims, the next day he gathered a few of us in a circle, and he sang a beautiful song in French. As I walked and I left that circle, I was so deeply touched by the French words of the song, and I kept repeating those words in my heart. And I walked through an area that I call the Valley of Golden Ferns. And as I walked through the Valley of Golden Ferns, his song, his prayer, kept repeating in my soul. Dear friends, there are many stories that I could tell about the Camino, incidents, intuitions, thoughts, encounters, times at table. When you are on the Camino, you are seated with the world. Conversations are in all different languages. In conclusion, dear friends, as is said, as one pilgrim passes another, bon camino, I wish you all a bon camino as you go to and fro every day of your life. And if God and you so desire, may you one day be walking to Santiago de Compostela to celebrate the Camino in your life. Thank you.